Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today we're checking out a couple of wireless lavalier mic systems that have actually been sent to me. So they were sent out by this particular company, FiFine I think it is, M9. So both of these are the exact same setup. The only difference is the actual color variant. So they do make two different versions in terms of colors, and I'm not sure if it actually says anything on them. Yeah, I know it does have some information there, but I'm not sure if it gives any information on the box about the color variant. The exterior packaging is exactly the same, but once opened up, as you can see, one is black and one is white. So that is literally the only difference between these two. But I did want to bring both options to you when this company reached out. So then anybody out there that wants to use these, they have on screen a sort of visualization of what they're going to look like. So both of them, as you can see, do come with a user guide, and yeah, you can see it does actually include everything that you'll need for both. It should be for both smartphone, which would be using the TRRS cable, and then the general cameras just use a TRS cable. So yeah, for your smartphones it will be that one, so TRRS to TRS, and you probably would need some sort of an adapter for that for most new ones, because obviously they don't have a headphone port. But yeah, let's pop those aside and we'll get these opened up. So these are sort of all-in-one kind of systems, and by that what I mean is both of them come with a charging case. So it might actually be a little bit easier to actually see on the white version compared to the black version. But yeah, so taking a look at it, you can see a little bit of branding just there, and this whole sort of carrying case is the actual charging case as well. So as you can see, it does have some LEDs integrated into it there. If you open it up, it does come with two transmitters as well as the receiver. Now the receiver, taking a look at it, is very similar to the Rode system that I actually use. So in terms of size, if you've ever seen the Rode, I would say it's a tiny bit smaller. A very similar setup in terms of giving you indication of both transmitters just there on screen. And when you actually drop everything in, assuming you take off the tape first, then you do have some charging pins at the bottom there, and it will actually charge everything up for you at the same time. So you do have an option on all of them of USB-C or the actual charging pins, and that is the same on all three of these. So let's just take a look at what else you get. So for each of the transmitters you do get a dead cap. You also get in the pack, as previously mentioned, so you do get a USB-A that can also be changed to a USB-C cable, and that just goes to a USB-C. Alongside that you get a phone cable. So this is a TRRS to TRS, so this would be the actual transmitters or receiver side. So this side would be for the receiver and this would be for the phone, and then you just have the normal camera one, which should be indicated just there. Yeah, you can see camera just there, and this is just a TRS to TRS cable. Okay, so the accessories on both of these are identical. Obviously the charging cases is what you're going to have with you most of the time, so both of them do have a little rubber tab at the bottom to help them stop sliding on a surface. You do have a single USB-C input. So this is one of the main things with my Rode system, because I don't really have a charging case for that. It means I have to actually set up three separate charging cables each time, whereas with this you just plug it in and you know everything's going to be charged all of the time. That's the other thing as well. If you forget to charge one of them, or if I don't use my Rode for a while, what I tend to find is that the transmitter will actually show no battery, or it won't charge until you've had it plugged in for a little while, whereas in theory you shouldn't really have that problem with these. As you can see, this is the difference in terms of the two colors. Personally, obviously with my setup, because I tend to use mostly with cameras, I would probably go for the black system, just because it will blend in and it will be a little bit less obvious. But obviously for anybody on the social media side of things, be it the short form media and things like that, that's where the white ones would probably stand out a bit, and that's where you want it to actually be seen a little bit better. In terms of your dead cats, you can see it has a very similar system to the old Saramonics. I'm not sure if they still use this type of setup. So what we'll do is we'll just get one of the dead cats out, and what we should find is that it has a little tab. You may not be able to actually see it very well because of all the fluff, but yeah, so they do have a little tab just there, and this would go in and twist around and it should actually lock. So there we go, and yeah, I can confirm it does lock in, so it won't be going anywhere unless you actually take it off yourself. Now one thing I will say is it's not the easiest to get on, just because of all of the actual fluff. It means that you're either trapping some, or you have to be very careful in order to get that on so that you can twist it on. So it's not my ideal design, but once it's on, it's on. So generally what I tend to do is I always use one microphone with the dead cat always on, and then I use the other one with a a lav mic. Now they haven't included any lav mics with this system, so that's the one thing that I would say is missing, so you probably want to just invest in that separately yourself. But yeah, everything else is included and is a full system ready to go essentially. Okay, so let's get this tape taken off, and I'm guessing that the first time you drop this on, it should then start charging and start to give us some information. There we go. So yeah, straight away. Now the one thing that it does look like is it won't close with the dead cat installed. So the unit won't close with the dead cat installed. So that's why that point that I made in terms of how it can be a little awkward in order to line this up without trapping all the little hair fibers, that comes more of an issue. Now for most people you shouldn't really need a dead cat all the time, but when you do need to use it, obviously you do need to bear that in mind, that you do still need to remove that before you can pop it back in the box. Okay, and you can see there all three units are charging. Now it doesn't necessarily give me any indication anywhere on it in terms of charge levels, I'm guessing until I turn this on, until you turn the transmitter on. But usually what it means is if you have flashing lights, it's still going to be charging. As soon as they go solid, I'm guessing that's going to mean that they're fully charged. Once again, you just close that up, leave it as it is, and that will continue charging. This does look like it has a built-in battery. This should be able to fully charge all of the units, but then whenever these lights drop down, then you can plug this unit in as well, and then obviously that will keep everything fully charged. In terms of the transmitters, you can see you do have a little logo on the front just there. So looking at it from the front, on the left hand side is your power button, on your right hand side is a sync button. You also have a noise cancellation button just there as well, and then you have the noise cancellation indicator just below. So if you do have that enabled, then it will give you a little marker letting you know that you do have noise cancellation enabled. On the left hand side of the unit is where you have your power button, and then you do have your standard cold shoe mount attachment just there as well. As previously mentioned, you do have your USB-C port on the bottom for charging individually, and then alongside that you do also have the little charging pins as well. So as soon as you drop it in, it will start charging. Taking a look at the main unit, so obviously on the front, similar thing, you do have your little logo just there. On the top you have your indicator lights. So at the moment it looks like it is syncing. Because they're both in the case, it's not going to sync up. So if we take both of these out, you can see straight away they sync up. So that's really fast. So as soon as I've taken them out of the case, you can see straight away they've actually synced up. Now, does it give any indication in terms of, yeah, so there's no actual sound meter on it. So that's something that you would need to monitor on your sort of source device or whatever you're recording into. So you do have a mic volume button on each one. So be that, yeah, so you can see just there. So all that's doing is it's dropping the volume between each press. So that is the first level, second level and third level. It doesn't look like there's a mute, completely mute option. So this is just the volumes. And then on the opposite side, you have a pairing button, and then the last one is your mode switch button. So your mode switch, I'm guessing, is going to be between individual recording and stereo recording, or sort of pairing them together and using one as a redundancy maybe. Yeah, so your mode switch is switching between stereo and mono mode, so it's basically using one of them as redundancy. And yeah, if any of these icons just there are flashing, that means it's in pairing mode, whereas when they're stable, you know you have a good connection. So in terms of the transmitters, if you ever get a red light, a flashing red light, that means the battery is low. A green light is when it is charging, and white would be when it's fully charged. A flashing blue light means it's unpaired, so obviously right now, because the transmitter isn't on, it's flashing. If I just take the transmitter out, you should see that light go stable. So the stable blue light means it is paired, and single pressing the button on the side changes it to a red light. A solid red light means it's mute, so that means you've muted it manually, so you then have to press the power button in order to get it to unmute. On the transmitter, it doesn't actually change anything in terms of when you mute it, so you do need to be wary of that if you have muted the individual mic, you're not getting any indication on the transmitter itself, so that is solely done on each individual transmitter. So yeah, two very nice little setups. Next, what we'll do is we'll take a look at some recordings and we'll do some testing and compare it to how the Rode actually sounds. So I have now switched to these microphones, and I am using the transmitter as well as the receiver with my Sony camera. So right now I have it on the lowest setting in terms of the receiver. So if I just click that once, this is now on medium, and I can see from my camera screen that that has almost spiked to the point of clipping. And if I did go to the highest setting, so this is now the high setting, and I can see that some of the words that I'm saying will be clipping So for me personally, I think I would probably use this one alongside, obviously having done a few tests, I would obviously adjust it. Now one thing I did want to also test is if I switch modes. So at the moment I'm guessing this is going to be in stereo mode. So if I now switch these between the two modes. Okay, so right now I should be in stereo mode, and by switching it then goes to mono mode. So with the light on, in theory this should now be mono mode, and switching it again should now switch it to stereo mode. Now for me personally, looking at the display on the screen, I think that's backwards. So I think with the light off is mono mode, and having the light on switches to stereo mode, because it is now giving me two separate readings, whereas when I press the button now it's giving me a single readout for both. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but for me personally it looks like they're backwards. It could just be the output, so it could just be merging both of them, and regardless of which microphone's picking up what, it's just giving you a sort of middle ground. But it looks like this is also clipping as well. So switching it to this version, I can see from the mic display on my camera that, or the audio input on the camera, that I'm getting two separate level readings, because right now I have microphone A on the first bar and I have microphone B on the third bar, so the maximum volume. Okay, so this is the final test. So I'm now recording internally on my Rode microphone, and I'm recording externally or directly through the camera using the M9. What I will do is I'll switch between the two and you can decide. So the internal recording on the Rode is normally done on its sort of middle sort of volume level. With the M9 I have got it set to the lowest level on the transmitter, and on the camera screen I can see that that's probably around about halfway on the actual volume meter. So it's not clipping, but it's also not so quiet that I should need to boost this too much. Now I do generally tend to do a little bit of processing in post with all of my audio just to make sure that everything falls nicely within a sort of range, but this should give you an idea in terms of what the sound quality is like as I switch between the Rode and the M9. Okay, so for context, this is the recording with my iPhone directly, and this is now the recording using the M9 microphone. So I have held the microphone roughly around about the same distance from my face as I did with the iPhone. The M9 is set to its lowest setting currently, so if I just switch that, this is now the medium setting, and if I press that once more, this is now the highest setting on the volume level. So once again, this is the lowest setting, this is the medium setting, and this is the high setting. Okay, and just for clarification, I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier in the video or not. So obviously on the newer phones you don't have a headphone jack. So with these devices what you would do is you would connect the USB-C cable from the phone directly into the receiver of this kit, and then that would be transmitting the audio over the USB-C cable rather than using the TRRS cable that you would have done on previous phones. So on phones with a headphone jack you would still need to use the TRRS cable, but anything with a USB-C port you can just connect the receiver directly to the phone and then it will work as it does with your camera. So they are the M9 microphones. So as always I will have links for everything in the description below. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos, and I really appreciate if you can also give this video a thumbs up as well. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.